Anybody heard from Steve?
No, I haven't. Hello, everyone. This is Reverend Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we will continue our study with the Foreword of the Urantia book, and we're on the Foreword, Part 5, Personality Realities, and we're on paragraph 5-4, or 8-4, depending on which reference you use. So let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight that we might learn more tonight and share it with others and that they might benefit from it and we benefit also. We pray we will be able to do your will in our lives daily, that we might serve you and become better universe citizens. We pray that you watch over my wife down in Florida tonight. She's away on a trip, and pray that you'll bless all these people that come to this meeting and bless all those who listen to this meeting. We thank you and we give you the praise in your son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, I hadn't heard from Steve in a couple of weeks, so I don't know what's going on with him. He may join us later. You never know. All right. Personality realities. If y'all remember last time, we ended on talking about personality can be both deified and undeified, ranging from mortal to midway to even up through spiritual. And we ended on this third paragraph, and it was talking about on experiential levels, personality orders or values are associable. In other words, they can associate with other beings and other parts of deity and even become co-creational. And that's what Jesus or Michael did as the Son of God and Son of Man. And if y'all recall, I mentioned that we can do the same thing. We become co-creational also by fusing with the thought adjuster eventually, and we gain that deified experience, which is existential, and then we add our experience, which becomes experiential. So we actually become co-creational, and that grows as we go up on our way through paradise. So let's start on the next paragraph. And Millie, would you take that first one? All sub-infinite orders there? You know where I'm talking about?
Yes. All sub-infinite orders and phases of personality are associative, attainable, and are potentially co-creational. The personal, the pre-personal, the personal, and the superpersonal are all linked together by mutual potential of coordinate attainment, progressive achievement, and co-creational capacity. But never does the impersonal directly transmute to the personal. Personality is never spontaneous. It is the gift of Paradise Father. Personality is superimposed upon energy, and it is associated only with the living energy systems. Identity can be associated with non-living energy patterns.
There's several things in this paragraph. This is kind of a difficult paragraph to understand the first time you read it. So let me kind of break it down by sentences here a little bit. All right. All infinite orders, that includes us, right? Anything that's not an infinite or a deity are sub-infinite orders, right? And phases of personality are associative attainment. Now, what's that saying? It says these are sub-infinite or finite beings, right, that have personality. Only beings, both finite, morontial, and spiritual, have personality. And that's very important because we're going to find out a little bit later in this paragraph, it's necessary to be associative attainals and potential co-creational. So if you do not have personality, you cannot fuse with the adjuster. And if you do not fuse with that adjuster, you cannot become co-creational with deity. Does that make sense? It's only through that fusion that we gain that essence of deity within ourselves and becoming real sons and daughters of God, right? Then it goes on to say that the pre-personal, which is what? That would be the father fragment, right? The personal, which is us, the super-personal, like a absonite being, right, are all linked together by mutual potential of coordinate attainment. And what are they telling us here? That both the thought adjuster, the personal beings like us, and the absonite beings all are linked together, and they need each other. They have mutual potential for this coordinate attainment and progressive achievement and co-creational capacity. And what's that telling us? It's telling us that the thought adjuster needs us for its personality, right? As personal beings, we need the absonite beings to attain our coordinate attainment or our achievement through progression over time. And through these three things together, we become creational. We have a capacity for creational things in our future. It's only by melding all three of these things together do we become what? Deified to the capacity to become co-creational, just like Michael is, right? All right, the next sentence is very, very important. Never does the impersonal directly transmute to the personal. What are they telling us here? They're telling us that if you do not have personality, you will not gain it any other way except through the Father. And why is this so important? That's telling us that even if we make robots, this is the point I want to make on here. If we make robots and we make them sound and look and act like they're human, are they human?
No.
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 Why? Because they do not have the Father's personality infused in them. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So will robots ever become sanctioned being according to the cosmos? No. Now, you can call them whatever you want to. I know there's one country overseas, I'm not going to mention it, that has already sanctioned robots as a race or like human, right? But they're not. Why are they not? They do not have personality. They only have those things which is programmed in them. You see that? The next sentence even clarifies it more. Personality is never spontaneous. It is a gift of the Paradise Father. So I don't care how close to human you make these things, will they ever spontaneously develop personality? No. They
Well,
will.
only if the Father gifted it.
Pardon me?
Perhaps if the Father gifted it.
If the Father gifted them, they could. But is he going to do that for something? A mechanical thing that human beings create? Not likely.
Not likely.
No.
Not likely at all, right?
Okay.
Okay. Now, the next sentence is really important too, because it says here that personality is superimposed upon energy. And it's associated only, you see that, with living energy systems. What are we?
Mm-hmm.
We're living
We are living in
energy systems,
energy system.
right? Identity, however, can be associated with non-living energy patterns. What are they talking about there? They're talking about beings that the Father or the sons create to do a specific job over and over and over and over. But these are non-living energy patterns, right? They exist solely to do a specific job. And they do have identity, right? You can identify them. But they do not, like a robot, have what? Personality. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
They
important
have
to understand.
personality.
Pardon me, Bill?
They can have an identity, but not a personality.
That's right. They're created without personality. They're created with identity to do a specific job, right? Because only those things that are living energy systems, like what? Finite beings, Urantia beings, absonite beings, these are all living energy systems, okay? That superimpose with what? Personality from the Father. Make sense?
Right.
All right, so that kind of breaks down that paragraph. That make a little more sense for that paragraph there?
Quite a bit. Thank you.
All right.
In the first sentence, we talk about the phases of personality. And can we say that the phases of personality also mean our personalities as we're living here and in this life, and then the Urantia personality that we attain after we go on to the dimension world, and then go through that, and then go on to the spirit personality?
That's exactly right, Bill. That's exactly right. That's the phases of sub-infinite orders of beings, right? We start out finite, we go to Urantia, and eventually we get to be spiritual, right? And eventually we become what? Finaliters, right?
Finality.
Right? And I guess you could say as finaliters, we probably come to as close to the step of being absonite as we're going to get, more than likely, probably. Right?
Roger.
Yeah.
So spiritual beings have living energy systems as well.
That's right. They're spirit living energy systems. That's correct. And all spirit living energy systems is controlled by whom?
The sun.
The sun. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Right? Okay, let's go on. And we're going to kind of beat this to death here in the next couple paragraphs here. All right. Bill, would you take the next one? The Universal Father?
Okay. The Universal Father is the secret of the reality of personality, the bestowal of personality, and the destiny of personality. The Eternal Son is the absolute personality, the secret of spiritual energy, Urantia spirit, and perfected spirit. The conjoint actor is the spirit mind personality, the source of intelligence, reason, and the universal mind. But the Isle of Paradise is non-personal and extra-spiritual, being the essence of the universal body, the source and center of physical matter, and the absolute master pattern of universal material reality.
Every paragraph's just loaded with stuff, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It is.
It's like a Christmas gift.
Yeah. All right, let's start the first sentence. The Universal Father is the secret. The secret. You see that? And we really should read this. The Universal Father is the secret of reality of personality. You see that? So the whole secret of personality involves no one but whom?
Universal Father.
The Universal Father, right? He's also the bestower of personality and the destiny of all personalities, okay? So if we think of the Universal Father and our trip to go to paradise is so that our personality can what? Can stand before the source of personality, right? Meld with the source of personality, okay? And then it goes on to tell us that the Eternal Son is the absolute personality. So the very first personality that God the Father, the Universal Father, ever created is whom? The Eternal Son, right? So since he was the only and first action of the universal Father, he is the absolute of personality, and in him is the secret of spiritual energy, Urantia spirits, and perfected spirits. Do you see that? So if we think of personality, the secret of personality being in the universal Father, then the secret of spiritual energy, Urantia spirits, and perfected spirits is in whom? The eternal Son. Right?
Right.
All right. The conjoint actor is...
Roger,
Yes.
before we go any further,
Sure.
perfected spirits. What's
Perfect.
an example?
Finalators.
Finalators, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So our personality is wanting to go back to its source.
That's right. That's right.
But by the time we're back to the source, we will be perfected spiritually.
That's right. Remember the Father's number one charge to us? Be
Become perfect.
perfect, right?
Even as he is.
Even as I am perfect, right? So in doing
Right.
that, we become perfected spirits, and then we're able to stand before not only the eternal Son, but the universal Father, right? All right. Let's go on to the
Now,
next.
the first sentence though, I can associate with Psalm 139, verses 13 through 18, and also Jeremiah 1:5.
Uh-huh.
And that's where it talks about how God knew us before we were even formed.
Right. Because he's the Father of personality, right?
Exactly.
Our personality comes from him. That's right. All right.
Him.
The conjoint actor is the spirit-mind personality. Now think about this. Only the conjoint actor, the infinite spirit, is the only being that can bestow personality to the ministering spirits. Did y'all know that? It's the infinite spirit's the only being that can do that. Now,
So I don't follow.
okay, so the conjoint actor creates all the ministering spirits, all the hosts of angels, all the way to the very highest down to the very lowest, right?
Right.
They do it through the local universe mother spirits, but it comes down through the conjoint actor, the infinite spirit, right?
Okay.
That, the fact that the infinite spirit bestows personality, she must do it through whom? The universal Father, right? So the universal Father does not directly bestow personality to the host of ministering spirits, which is an interesting concept. You think about it. Finite beings, the universal Father bestows personality directly, right? But all the ministering spirits, since they are created by the conjoint actor, their personality, notice here it says the conjoint actor is the spirit mind personality. You see that? So she bestows, or he bestows, personality through the mind spirit, right, or the mind circuit to all the ministering spirits. Of course, all personality comes from the Father, but it comes through the conjoint actor to be bestowed to all the angels. Isn't that interesting?
Question.
Yeah.
Okay, now if the universal Father is the source of personality,
Right.
and then the conjoint actor sentence is the spirit-mind personality, the source of intelligence, reason, and the universal mind.
Right.
Okay, now that's like the programming.
It's like what?
Could it be sort of said like the programming of us, how intelligent we are? That's the gift of the conjoint actor to us.
That could be said. Bill, you could be right about that, because we know that all of our spirit mind comes from the conjoined actor, right? But our personality
Right.
comes through the Father, right? So anything as a source, I was going on down through this just in a second, but it says here the source of intelligence, reason, and universal mind. That's our intellectual part of our mind, right?
Right.
And that comes from the conjoined actor, right?
Roger,
Mhm.
Yeah.
the word universal mind would that be the same as the cosmic mind?
Not exactly.
Okay.
Not exactly. The cosmic mind you can think of as what we gain when we step off from a Urantia being to a spiritual being. Okay? So the cosmic mind takes over when you no longer need the adjutants of the local universe. Okay? When you lose the adjutants by leaving the local universe and you step into your spirit career, then the cosmic mind takes over, okay, and replaces the adjutants,
Okay.
okay, where the universal mind works throughout all levels. You follow me?
Gotcha.
All the way down to the finite. All right. So the thing we need to remember about the conjoint actor is our mind, our intelligence, our reason, and all that comes from the conjoint actor and the universal mind. All right. The other thing is that the conjoint actor gives all the celestial host of angels their personality. Okay. Doesn't come directly from the Father. It goes through the conjoint actor to them. Right? All right. Now let's go on to the next sentence. But the Isle of Paradise is non-personal and extra spiritual. There is no personality in the Isle of Paradise. Okay? It's extra spiritual. Isle of Paradise is not spiritual, right? It's outside of being spiritual. Being the essence of the universal body, the source and center of physical matter, and the absolute master pattern of universe material reality. So paradise is basically the pattern for everything physical in all the universes and all the universes to be from here on out through eternity. Okay? So for everything we see as physical matter, there's a pattern for this where? Paradise. Okay? There is nothing that's created that does not have a pattern on paradise. Nothing. Make sense? Okay. Well, let's go on. Rodney, would you take the next sentence in the very first one, body?
Okay. These qualities of universal reality are manifest in Urantian human experience on the following levels. 1. Body, the material or physical organism of man, the living electrochemical mechanism of animal nature and origin.
Okay, remember in the previous paragraphs it talks about personality is bestowed on electrochemical mechanisms, right? All right, that's what it's talking about. Our material body, our physical organisms are living electrochemical mechanisms of animal nature and origin, right? That's just our body. Now, do we need this body after this life? No. That's why this body goes back to dust, right? When we go to the mansion worlds, we're given what? New bodies, right?
Right.
A Urantia type body, a more lasting type body, right? That's going to serve us for us
The
for quite a
Bible
long
says, the Bible says less corruptible.
less corruptible body. That's right. All right. Let's go on to the next one. 2, mind, the thinking, perceiving, and feeling mechanism of the human organism. The total conscious and unconscious experience. The intelligence associated with the emotional life reaching upward through worship and wisdom to the spirit level. Does it say brain here?
No.
No,
No,
it doesn't, does it? It says
No.
mind, right?
mind.
The mind is a superimposition on the physical brain. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
It's a what again?
It's a superimposition on the physical brain.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Right.
You can think of the brain as what? Under number 1, the body. Right?
Mhm.
It's just a physical organism. It's an electrochemical mechanism. The synapses fire in your brain, and you got material there, and these electrical signals go from synapses to synapses. That's a physical organism of the brain. All right? What makes us real beings is the superimposition of the mind. Okay?
Right.
It's the mind that allows us to think. It's the mind that allows us to perceive. It's the mind that allows us to have feeling mechanisms of the human organism. Okay? It's that superimposition of mind that gives us consciousness and unconscious experiences, our dreams, everything else, right? Everything that's autonomic in our nervous system, everything that's not autonomic in our nervous system. It's the mind that controls all of these. And it does so through the emotional life all the way up to the what? The 6th and 7th adjunct mind spirits, which we know are worship and wisdom, all the way to the spirit level. Okay?
So, Roger,
Yeah.
so in other words, I mean, the way I think of it is talking about your brain. Your brain takes care of your body, but I
Yeah.
believe your brain as well is an antenna for the mind.
It is. It is.
So the mind works through the brain.
That's right. Now, if the brain gets destroyed, what happens? You die.
It loses the signal.
Yeah, it loses its signal. The mind can't communicate with it anymore, right? So that when the brain dies, what happens? The mind is free to leave and go to the next life, right? The next body that we get. Make sense? Now, do you think your personality stays with your physical body? No. Your personality will go where? With the mind, right?
Mhm.
So when you leave, as soon as those brain synapses stop firing, you're relieved to go, and that's where your guardian angel comes and transports you to the mansion world. Immediately.
So, Roger,
Yeah.
spiritual beings, they have mind as well.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, they do. Now think of this. If you have no vessel, if you have no body for the mind to react to, do you think you hang around after you die and see your own funeral and see all your relatives weeping and you're at your own graveside? You don't have a vessel to do that anymore. Think about it that way. When you die, you're immediately freed to go to the mansion worlds because you have no body or no brain to interact, the mind to interact with, so you're no longer conscious. You see that? Soon as you lose consciousness, what's the next thinking thought you have? Awakening up on the mansion world. That's your next thought, right? When you awaken on the mansion world, you have a new vessel for your mind to go into. And what can you do? You can think again. You can perceive again. You can feel again. immediately, right? And that's when you wake up
Mhm.
on the mansion worlds. So, do you think that you will hang around as a ghost and see your own funeral?
No.
No. There's nothing to hang around with, right?
Right. Right.
Makes sense? You go on.
Mhm.
You're gone. All right. And this is the case. The mind works in this fashion all the way up through worship and wisdom. And where does worship and wisdom end? When you become a first stage spirit. And then cosmic mind takes over. Okay? It's still mind. It's still on the conjoint actor circuit, but it's on a higher level. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't lose you, did I?
No.
Okay. All right. So let's go on to the next thing. This is 4 things here. The spirit. Millie, would you take the spirit for us?
Yes. Number 3 is spirit, the divine spirit that indwells the mind of men, the thought adjuster. This immortal spirit is pre-personal, not a personality, though destined to become a part of the personality of the surviving mortal creature.
Okay. Something real interesting about the spirit part, right? The divine spirit is that part of the mind that dwells of the thought adjuster, right? The spirit. What's interesting about that is the thought adjuster has its own circuit to the Father, doesn't it? Okay? Personality circuit, right? But it is not a personality, but it's interesting that the divine spirit, this immortal spirit, is part of what? The Son's spiritual circuit. You ever thought of that? So if you think of the eternal Son as the spirit circuit, then it interacts with not only your personality and your spirit that's developing, but it also interacts with whom? The thought adjuster on the same circuit. So you really have 2 connections to God the Father. Through the Spirit, through the Son, right? And you have another one through personality, through the thought adjuster, to the Father, right? Okay, now, the next one's really, really interesting. Bill, would you take it, please?
Okay. 4, soul. The soul of man is an experiential acquirement. As a mortal creature chooses to do the will of the Father in heaven, quote unquote, so the indwelling spirit becomes the father of a new reality in human experience. The mortal and material mind is the mother of this same emerging reality. The substance of this new reality is neither material nor spiritual. It is morontial. This is the emerging and immortal soul, which is destined to survive mortal death and begin the paradise ascension.
Now, this is the best explanation of the soul in the book, I believe. Okay? Okay, let's kind of break this down. It says here the soul. They don't talk about there being a soul circuit, do they? Not at all. Okay. The soul of man is an experiential acquirement. It's something that we build up through our experience. Okay? And part of it comes from doing the Father's will, following the indwelling adjuster in our human experience, right? Part of the soul comes from following the adjuster's leading, okay? But the other part, that's the father half. The mother half comes from the material mind, Okay, it says, is the mother of the same emerging reality. So part of it comes from doing the will of God, and the other part comes from the material mind trying to emerge as a reality, right? And as it emerges, this substance, this new reality, is not a material reality, nor is it a spiritual reality. But even though it becomes from the Father and it comes from a finite being, they come together and it creates a soul, which is a merantial reality. Okay? And it's this emerging of this immortal soul that survives our death, our mortal death, and begins the paradise ascension. So the soul that we wake up with on the mansion worlds is the creation of both the Father doing the Father's will, and mortal man, the material mind, trying to follow that will. And those two things coming together creates merantial realities, and that's what the soul is this merantial realities. And as these realities emerge in this new body on the mansion worlds, it is our immortal soul that survives death and begins the paradise ascension. That's who we are. Now, there's one more piece here we can't forget, and that's the next paragraph. So let's move on to it. Rodney, would you take that?
Yeah, I was just thinking, Roger, obviously, there's no two souls alike.
None.
They're original.
None. Yeah, even though the Father fragments are identical when they leave the divinity, right? Through experience and trying to spiritualize our life, they change the moment, as Bill would say, we are conceived. From that moment on, they are not ever alike again, right? Because they're put inside these beings that have personality, and that augmentation of that personality creates a unique being forevermore. So no two are the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
God makes a personality different for each and every individual.
Everyone. Just like we all have different faces, right? We all have different personalities, right?
Well, I've been told that I find that there are more of me around there than I'd like to believe, but somebody's running around looking like me. I say, that poor ugly soul.
All right, let's go on to personality.
Okay, personality. The personality of mortal man is neither body, mind, nor spirit. Neither is it the soul. Personality is the one changeless reality in an otherwise ever-changing creature experience, and it unifies all other associated factors of individuality. The personality is the unique bestowal which the Universal Father makes upon the living and associated energies of matter, mind, and spirit, and which survives with the survival of the merantial soul.
Okay, so I find this so interesting, the way they broke this down. I'm going to go back up one. So let's read this first sentence again. The qualities of universal reality are manifest in human experience as the following levels. And then it lists out these four, right? And then after these four, it sticks on the most important one here. Personality. Okay? All right. And then it goes on to tell us personality of the mortal man is neither mind, body, mind, nor spirit, neither is it the soul. So personality is not any of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting, right? It's a changeless reality in an otherwise ever-changing creature experience. So our personality continues to grow and change in every aspect of our climb to find God the Father, right? And it says it unifies all the other associated factors of individuality. So all these four above this, it's the personality that unifies everything to make us who we are. Isn't that interesting? And it goes on to say these are the things that makes us individual, right? Individuality. And it goes on to say that personality is the unique bestowal of the Universal Father that it makes upon all living and associated energies of what? The things above. Matter, mind, and spirit, which survive with the survival of the Urantia soul. So the things that survives after death, it's the personality that makes us recognizable when we get to the mansion worlds. Isn't that interesting? It's not our body, it's not our mind, it's not our spirit, it's not even our soul, it's our personality that makes us.
That's, Roger, that's interesting. I've been reading about after the resurrection, when Jesus was appearing, the people he appeared to, they didn't recognize the form.
No, at first.
He started speaking, and his characteristics, his personality, is how they identified him.
That's right. That's what made him recognizable, wasn't it?
Right.
And it's the same way when we get to the mansion worlds, right?
So even we'll keep our same personality for eternity.
Yes, the same one that we start out with here. We start building it here, right? And then when we go on to the mansion worlds, we just continue building it, right? Let's finish this last paragraph here so we can put it all together. Urantia is a term designating a vast level of intervening between the material and spiritual. So the Urantia is the in-between level between the material and what? The spiritual, right? It may be designated personal or impersonal realities, living or non-living energies. The warp of Urantia is spiritual. The woof is physical. What are they talking about here? The warp and the woof. Do y'all know what the warp and the woof is?
Millie knows.
Millie knows.
Yeah.
Weaving.
It's weaving. When you put material together, the warp is the up and down, right? The woof is the sideways, how they interact, right? They weave them in together. So if you think of it that way, the Urantia is spiritual, right? So the Urantia is the spiritual part of the weaving, and the woof is the physical. What are they talking about? They're talking about the Urantia body and its physical form weaves between the spiritual, right? So it puts together both the material and the spiritual. It's the in-between step between finite and spirituality or spiritual, right? So when we think of the term Urantia, it's just a state of being that we go through after we live this life so we can prepare ourselves for the next step, which is what? Spiritual, right? Kind of interesting, isn't it? So that kind of brings it all together. So when you get to the mansion worlds and you wake up, and all your friends and relatives and all that are there to welcome you when you wake up, will they recognize your physical being as it was the same before? Probably not.
Not until you start talking.
Not till you start talking, and they'll know exactly who you are then, won't they? Right? They will already be informed before you wake up, right?
I know. I don't
They'll
like that.
know before you even wake up. So they'll know who you are, but they may not see the same physical body you left with. You're going to have a more perfected body, and your body will reflect more along the line of your beautiful soul, right? Which is just an unbelievably wonderful concept if you think about it.
Roger,
Yeah.
when we give up our Urantia body and become spiritual, what is a spiritual body like? Is it just a light?
It's a step beyond the physical Urantia body. So it would be less responsive to physical matter, okay? Even though it's a physical body, but it's a spiritual physical body, okay? So if we thought about it, we would probably conceive it more along the line of if you think you saw a ghost, right? You can see through them. They're more transparent. They're less physical than we are, right? That's what you would think of as a spiritual body. The Urantia body would be just the outside of our sight range. Have y'all ever watched anything where they used what's called a FLIR recording device?
Yeah,
They
you
have them
told
on,
us about this.
huh?
You've mentioned this before.
Yeah, they have them on shows like Ghost Hunter and things like that, right? A FLIR picks up ultraviolet rays and ultraviolet patterns and heat signatures, okay? So if you point a FLIR across the room and there's nothing there and you see the shape of a form of a being, it's one of two things. It's either a Urantia being or a spiritual being, one of the two, okay? So are they ghosts? No, they're not ghosts. Okay, they'd like you to, you got all these TV shows on trying to convince you they are, but they're not. I'm telling you. There are no such things as ghosts. When beings die here, they either go on to the mansion worlds or they cease to exist. They also talk about something like a, what would you call an echo? Something that's played out in the past that keeps repeating itself. But these aren't aware beings. These aren't people, okay? But a FLIR will pick up a energy pattern, probably along the line of Urantia. We know there's thousands and thousands and thousands of Urantia beings on this planet any one day, don't we? We know we have visitors from other universes. We know that they're here. We can't see them. They're just outside their sight range. So probably if you point a FLIR camera at them, you might pick up an image, right? Or if it's a spiritual being, if it's a lower stage spiritual being, you might even pick up an image from something like that. But you won't see a physical body, right? It is only...
How about a midway?
It could be a midway. Could very well be a midwayer because we know they're just outside our range too, aren't they? Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's exceptions to every rule, isn't there? Because we know that the guardian angels can make themselves visible to humans under certain circumstances, don't we? So, if you see an image of a being or something along that line, you can see through it. It may be a guardian angel getting ready to talk to you, right? Mm-hmm. But they have to have a very specific and special circumstances to get permission to do that. We know that, right? So that's more along the line really of what I would call the closest thing we could conceive of as a spiritual body, really.
Roger, I have a question.
It has a form, but it doesn't have much matter to it. It's on a higher, what they call a vibration rate than we are. Yeah, Rodney.
Is a Urantia form or a Urantia being, would a midway creature be similar to Urantia?
No, because a midway creature is between finite, and Urantia. So they're not really like Urantia beings. They're in between finite and Urantia. They are just on a different vibration system than the humans are. So they're outside our sight range. And they have capabilities that are beyond human, normal human. Because we know midwares can travel, like 3,000 miles a second or something along that line. It also talks about how midwares could leave the planet if they chose to do so, right? But midwares are not allowed to leave the planet because they choose not to do so because of their mandates. If they chose to do something, what would leave the planet? What would they be guilty of? Rebellion, right? Because they're not allowed to do that, right? So who would go get them? One of the archangels would bring them back, and they would have to go through what? Adjudication, because they rebelled, right? Even though they have that capability.
Well, they could probably go to the moon and back.
What'd you say, Rodney?
They could probably go and visit the moon.
They probably could, I don't know what's allowed and what's not, When we stepped off onto the moon, when Apollo 11 stepped off onto the moon, our horizon, our event horizon for this planet changed dramatically, right? Because you go from human Urantians going to another physical location outside our native planet. So when that happened, it's a big deal to the universe. It's not only a big deal to us, it's a big deal to all celestial beings, because when we get to the point where we can travel outside our local universe, then other celestial authorities have to take over and take account of those beings which are not on the planet any longer, right?
Right.
So, it's a pretty big deal. It really is, And whether those midwares are allowed to go with them and keep them company and bring them back, I do not know.
Don't know.
They didn't tell us that. So I have no idea, We do know that we're visited. The book tells us we're visited constantly by celestial visitors, and from beings from other planets coming to see the planet, mostly Urantia. But I'm sure there's other beings that are physical like us that come and visit the planet, and we're just discovering that now, in the 20th century, because we have video cameras, we got people that can tell stories. So there's people there are individuals that seen being aliens come and go. That's just, it's a fact. You can deny it all you want to, but you can't deny facts. That's just the way it is, And they're under the same celestial government as we are, I'm sure. Should we be afraid of them? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think the universe is friendly. We're the ones that's not friendly, right? All right, let's close it.
And the reason why we're that way is because we don't understand them.
We don't understand them. We don't understand anything. This book is the first inkling of where our place in the cosmos really is. It really has been. So this is our first step. This is our baby step, right? And if the whole world knew that this really was our first baby step, people would be clamoring to read it and understand it, wouldn't they? But they just don't know. It's a lack of understanding. So, and that's why we're here. That's what our job is for, right? And hopefully we do a fairly decent job. I'm just a stupid human just like everybody else. I just try to share what I know, and that's it. Might be right, might not be. So
the thing about it is, we just got to run into people that are willing to listen and are not so closed-minded.
That's right. That's right. Well, listen, y'all. Let's not go into another section because we're about 5 minutes in, or 3 minutes till we close. So let's have a little prayer, and we'll close tonight. And next time we'll take up energy and pattern. Okay, and we'll go from there. Robbie, would you like to close us in prayer tonight?
Sure. Heavenly Father, we're very thankful once again for this opportunity for us to come together tonight to study this wonderful revelation, the difficult foreword that we're plugging along with, trying to understand so that we can tell other people about this. And we thank you for Roger's time and his great effort to explain this forward to us, to our humble minds. And, we pray for wisdom and insight so that we can learn these things better. And Father, we say all of this and pray in your name and Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen. And thank you all from at home. And I hope Diane can be home next week to join us. If not, she'll be here the week after that. We all miss her because she'll probably watch the video. Hey, lovely wife. And we'll see all y'all next week. We'll take it up from there. All right. Have a great week. Stay out of trouble. You know, if it's like me, it's hard to do, right? Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. You're still recording, by the way.
Yeah.